Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Champions of Inspiration. Really excited today because we've got a special guest who started out in corporate Canada, actually.
True.
Started out as a corporate economist in a multinational company, but got physically sick, migraines, depression, fibromyalgia, a variety of different things, and said, wait a second, this isn't the way this is supposed to be. So she traveled the world to work with scientists and doctors and mystics and spiritual leaders. And with all that collaboration, she found out the importance of physics in your life and energy. And we're going to talk about that, the quantum fields, and also now becoming a best-selling author of the book Unstuck. Jennifer Hough, thanks for joining us here.
I'm so excited to join you. I'm a different person after having gone through that entire book series, and I'll tell you, no joke.
So,
if ever anyone tells you that writing a book, oh, it's so no, it's a thing.
it's a thing. So
It's a thing.
So we'll get into the book, but what did you learn on the way to developing the book?
Well, biggest lesson happened when we launched it. I realized, and you're included in this, I realized the degree to which, we're such lone rangers. And even before, I remember one of my dear friends used to call me, she doesn't call me it anymore, but she called me a lone wolf. And, we're out there forging our way, and society values that. And we've been told that, you have to be the one who makes it happen. And even in our development, in order to validate our own existence, you don't want a lot of people helping you because you want to be the one, for your own ego's sake, that says that I did that, Meanwhile, back at the ranch, let me just tell you, the greatest lesson I got from writing this book wasn't in writing it, although it was in writing it as well, because my husband helped me tremendously. He's an amazing writer. The greatest lesson was in receiving and allowing my heart to grow big enough to let all the love and assistance come in from, my friends in the Evolutionary Business Council, people like you who I hadn't seen in a long time. There were just the love poured in from I just had text yesterday saying, I told everybody I bought 5 books. I'm giving them out to my friends. And there came a point a couple of times, maybe 3 times now, where I just went, okay, it's too much. I can't, I'm good. Thank you, universe. Good enough. I really felt that way. Like, okay, I'm good. We're good. Like, don't want to have overabundance. I'm good. It's being selfish now. And I had to keep coming to the new understanding, which is an understanding I even teach about, that overflow is endless. The amount that we can be loved and given to is infinite by other people. And just the same way I get such fulfillment out of being generous myself, we have to leave space for other people to be generous with us as well. And it was quite a humbling experience, to tell you the truth.
That's awesome. It reminds me, or what just came up intuitively was,
Yeah.
I was with Zig Ziglar one time,
Uh-huh.
and somebody wanted to pay for his lunch.
Yeah.
And so they paid for his lunch. And somebody else kind of behind the scenes commented, well, but this is Zig Ziglar. Why would he let somebody buy his lunch? And Zig kind of heard it. And his response was, why would I cheat them out of the joy of being able to do that? That was their desire to contribute and to purchase my lunch, as simple as something like that.
Yep.
It would be wrong of me not to accept that gracious offer. What a great lesson, right?
It's great. It's great. It really is grace. It's, I am is just a great reminder of how much I love being generous and how much I could be present to, I have texts of people holding the book and going, Jen, look, I just got my copy. And they're not sucking up to me. They're not,
No, no.
this isn't a manipulation. It's like an authentic thrill to be able to say, hey, my friend Jen, look what happened. And so there's a great, it's part of being unstuck is opening your heart to. It's funny how I'm stopping myself from finishing that sentence because we try so hard as solo artists. We try so hard to prove ourselves or to make up for something our father told us when we were 8, and trying to prove that it isn't true that I'm not good enough, or
Yeah.
to be worthy of someone, even God's love, by constantly being enough. But if you get contributed to by other people, you're not proving your own worthiness of the love, your lovability, because you've got other people's help. So you can't let anybody in. It's almost like a built-in egoic mechanism in society to not receive help, when we have to decide whether we want to spend the rest of our life proving our worthiness, which is not a worthiness-based universe. I'll tell you how I know that. If today I'm breathing in my share of air, how could I possibly do enough in a minute or in a lifetime to deserve one day's share of air? I couldn't. It's not a deserving or worthiness-based universe. The trees are breathing out when I'm breathing in, and I'm alive because of them, period. End of story. It's not a deserving based universe. So if it's not, we have to decide whether we want to keep living in that proving deserving based, which is completely incongruent with the way consciousness works, or whether we want to, live in a how much can I create and contribute to this world universe. And if we want, and the book was birthed from that inspiration, from that, as your show says, that book was birthed from the place of my favorite question. I think we talked about that before, which is what is the most meaningful thing that I can do that would cause the greatest amount of fulfillment, that would have me wake up with more energy that I went to sleep with, that would allow me to live in the reciprocal flow of abundance of the entire universe, that would be effortless and productive and utilize everything I've ever learned and make the biggest contribution I can possibly make in this lifetime. Answer that question, and you're clearly not trying to prove. This is about, what can I be used for? What am I being facilitated towards? So
I think that's so cool. And a little bit since the last time you were on the show, we shared the show title change, and it came from friends, very loving, very, whatever, right?
right. Yeah.
Who said, "Can I share something with you?" And I said, "Sure." And I said, "What the heck's with the name of your show?" And I said, "Well, that's why I added a tagline, bringing your voice to life." And he said, "Well, that'd be a better choice." And I said, "Well, that's true. Again, it wasn't an ego state. It was just uh, uh, sharing my voice."
Right.
And he said, "Yeah, but that's too long." And so I said, "It's really about the champions of inspiration. It's about people who are inspiring other people to take action in their life, to do something, to move forward, to get unstuck."
Yes.
Right. And
Yep.
so that I was going to make a little joke about your question. It's a little bit of a run-on question, by the way. But
You think?
but I think it's awesome, because that's exactly, again, the design of this show is to share champions of inspiration, to get people to think, to get them to reach outside of it all. How can we contribute? How can we do more? And you do realize it's not a solo game by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative, come together kind of game.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It really is. Well, even that question was inspired by a guy named Shannon Graham. So who got invited to an event specifically to, one of my friends, Laura Gisborne, invited him to speak at an event. She said, "This guy's for you, Jennifer." And I thought to myself, this beautiful collaboration of souls that are cheerleading, and how much do I feel given to? And it's endless spirals of generosity on the path of create. We're here to create. We're here to create. One of the biggest. So even before I got to the book, Scott, okay, I knew that this book was being birthed. I didn't know what to call it. I had taught a course about the 12, what we call brain bridges. Okay. Brain bridges are where you get your right brain, which is expansive and understands life from a limitless perspective, to be able to build a bridge through your corpus callosum to your left logical rational brain, to have your left brain understand that life isn't the way. You don't have to keep protecting. It's not the way you think it is. There are a whole, the real way that it works in physics and the laws of the universe. Your left brain starts to understand life a different way, which changes your physiology. It changes your magnetics. It changes what comes to you, et cetera, et cetera. So as I'm teaching this program with 12 aspects to it, 12 brain bridges, I think, now this should be my first book, because this is like the basis for changing your life. You don't have to excavate every little thing that ever happened to you in this life. And if you believe in past lives, every other life as well, you don't have to do that before you actually get on with living a great life. And most people in the personal development world are operating like I have to fix myself first. And it's just total BS, honestly. And so, yeah.
And
It's
doesn't it
just,
come down to,
yeah.
interesting when you said you don't have to fix yourself first. I mean, doesn't it come down to, in essence, exactly where you are at any one time is perfect?
Hello. And if you don't have to fix yourself, we've been trained that there's something in our way all the way back to Freudian times, right? That there's something in your way that you have to fix. You're broken. But we're not broken at all. We're actually, everything we ever needed is accessible now, and then now, and then now, and then now, and every 0 point of your existence. The now gives you access to anything you need. And most people think of that in the world of personal development, like, oh, what I need in order to fix myself. No, what you need in order to flourish. The reason we forgot, we forgot that the reason we perceived we were fixing ourselves is to get to a place where we can flourish and live in overflow. What if we just skip the part about fixing ourselves and actually go straight to flourishing? What happens now, this is a bit of a leap for everyone, but this is why our work is so special.
Right.
What I came to was that you actually don't need to fix yourself first. That's a great egoic distraction from your path. The truth is, you can actually learn the skills to thrive. And in coming up to a frequency, living at a perspective of life, of how overflowish and generous life wants to be towards you, you come to a frequency where you get the greater perspective on all the stuff that you've been trying to fix. And when you come way up here and look back at it, the ability to transmute all the stuff that you thought was broken is about 1,000-fold to how hard it is to do from the place of its brokenness. When you're down here trying to analyze, even if you have the best facilitator in the world, you'll have ahas and it'll feel like relief, and it is, and it's beautiful. And don't think that I'm talking about spiritually bypassing stuff, because I'm not. I'm actually talking about get the tools to actually thrive, because that's what you were heading for in the first place. Live at that frequency. Start to master these skills. Don't ignore what's coming up to leave, but at least get to the place where you're thriving, because creation doesn't give a hoot about the stuff that causes contrast in your life. In fact, your life was built to have contrast. It's meant to have stuff that doesn't work. It's fine.
Well,
And
that's where the yin and the yang comes from, right? I mean,
well, it's what causes creation. You know, there's this
Right.
thing called precession. You know, you and I know about precession. Doria Cordova talks about it all the time in her course, Money and You, right? And in precession, what happens is we're going along this way in life, and at right angles to life, what happens is stuff will happen that's quite miraculous as you're pursuing that goal. And then you'll go on the next one. And then all of a sudden along that line, something else will, just like you renaming your show,
Yeah.
right? You just started the show and you said you're fine tuning, but really in procession, the name, and then who knows what different people will come on. It will all change. So the point is, here I was thinking this book is going to be birthed, and the act of creativity going along this way, and then something else comes up that's really cool, and then you go along this way and something else comes up this way. That is the act of creativity. And instead of going around in circles, now you're going in a spiral upward, right? You're creating in a spiral. And in the spiral, creativity is a spiral, recreating the same thing over and over and over again as a circle. And most people in survival mode are their stuckness comes from thinking the same thoughts, not understanding consciousness better, not understanding how physics works better, being afraid of change, because at least if they can get one thing right for their father or their mother or for life or for their teacher or whatever it is, to stand still. And there's no enjoyment there. What it is like this hard slog that you go through a lot of pain for. I know you don't know anything about this, Scott. You go through this terrible, painful, and then someone erects a statue in your honor because you suffered so much, and now you're a martyr for what you created, but it doesn't last because life is meant to create upon itself, to be better and better and better all the time. And that book was something that was looking to be on the spiral, and I was resisting it because I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go on interviews. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to, talk to people, that I don't know. Oh my gosh, who else, what else is going to come up? Oh my gosh, I might get inspired to do another one. That was a lot of work.
Well, but that's a great and exciting part of it all. A friend of mine some time back now said, we're only here for one reason. That's expansion.
Yeah.
And to keep on growing and expanding along with it. So, in the book, you talk about law of attraction 2.0. Yeah. How does that relate to kind of what's going on in the world right now? I mean, there's a lot of, have you noticed there's a lot of stuff going on?
Really?
Is it just me?
I've been sleeping. So no, it's not true. Yeah, it's not like law of attraction ever changed, by the way. It's just that there are so many evolutions possible. So, Scott, you could probably give me some of these. I'm almost sure of it. Like, what are some of the conversations about law of attraction that you've heard that maybe don't make so much sense to you?
Well, I think far too many people think that you think of something desirable.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, poof, it shows up.
And then they get frustrated when it doesn't.
Yeah, they get frustrated when it either doesn't, or they realize, what? You mean I actually have to take some action, or I actually have to play a role in this whole thing? Or
maybe I don't deserve, like I ask for stuff and then it doesn't come, so I mustn't deserve it.
Yeah. Right? Why does worthiness get lumped into that?
Well, because God loves some people more than others, Scott. No, that is not true. So how could that possibly be? That's just ridiculous. So here are probably three parts of, I talk about more in the book, but these are some juicy ones. Okay. Sure. So the other ones in the book, they're not juicy. Yes, they are. So, but here's three of them.
Forget the 12. You only need the 3.
Yeah. Well, this is just one of the chapters, right? So let's just do this one. So,
okay.
So the first thing is, that most people have a misunderstanding going on about intention. They simplified, based on lots of people teaching it, that if you envision and let yourself feel the feelings and you work really hard at that, like every day you wake up and you intend and you feel and you see it and all this kind of stuff, that eventually it's inevitable. And then I have seen some other teachings around there are some things could be in your way, like some unknown karma from the past or some, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, it could be that it's not your time. It could, but there's one foundational principle that goes missing, and it's fairly basic to the process, honestly. And that is that your entire life is an intention. Your spirit is pouring through this specific body with those specific parents, those specific siblings or lack thereof, whether you were adopted or not, whatever, all of that stuff happened because you and infinite wisdom decided to have a conversation about being here that would be the most delicious ride, that would catalyze the greatest amount of fulfillment, that would give you the greatest amount of meaning, that would contribute to your creativity and contribution on the planet. The entire trajectory, although it's not fate, but because you have choice all the time,
Right.
but the entire trajectory that you were sent on is to fulfill on your greatest contribution. And the way you do that, multiple thousands of different ways. So it's not fate. But if you imagine that something that you're intending, so what I'm talking about is the most expansive ride you can go on that would make your
Right.
greatest contribution. And many approach the intentions and the vision boarding that they do from the point of view of what would make me feel most in control, give me the greatest status, have me feel the best, have me solve my problem with my wife, have me resolve this issue with money. It's all fear-based. It's all trying to fix yourself based.
Yeah.
When the
Makes
entire
sense.
the entire universe is co-conspiring based on the expansiveness of who you really are as an extension of source energy. So if you're in alignment with that, that's a foundational principle of consciousness delivering back to you what you want. And if you're coming from brokenness and needing fixing, or trying to keep your life under control, safe, or predictable, that's not really why you're here. So that's why things don't, that is the number one reason I've seen why things don't manifest. Does that make sense to you, Scott?
Yeah, it does. Again, I think we get caught up in almost in what other people think we should want and we should manifest, versus what we want. I mean, I know, what's important to me is to return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet. Let's lift some people up and
Yeah.
you know
Amen.
treat everybody with the respect, honor, and dignity they're due.
Mhm.
Respect is how I treat you. Honor is how I lift you up.
Mm.
Dignity is how we both feel after the fact.
Mhm.
And gosh, wouldn't it be better, nicer, friendlier if we all lived that way?
Yeah.
Seems to
And
make some sense to me.
oh yeah, and it's so clear that that's the trajectory you were born for. Even witness the title of your show, right? Your show is in alignment with who you are. And so things will manifest, things will be more obvious to you. Things will show up more easily, more effortlessly. Now, that's only one. The second thing in this so-called 2.0, which is really how it was from the beginning, is that even when you're doing a vision board, the magazines that you pick to pick the pictures were actually a manifestation as well, because higher levels already know what's coming your way. So to think that by putting it on a vision board, it's coming your way is kind of arrogant as human beings.
Yeah.
or it's a misunderstanding of physics, because we're so incredibly loved by all that is, by physics, by consciousness, whatever you want to call it. We're so incredibly loved that a picture would light up for us means that the picture lies in some version of your future trajectory already. It's already on a timeline in your future. That's why it lit up for you to put it on the vision board in the first place. So already the picture is a manifestation, meaning people focus on the picture, like you have to focus on the picture to get the thing. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the universe entirely loves you and it's already happening. Just stay the course and keep doing the things that have your heart expand, that have you feel loving and loved, that have you be excited to get up in the morning. And as you continue on that trajectory, you'll notice you get closer and closer and closer. Can I tell a little story along that line?
Sure. Absolutely.
So, you know, a long time ago when Oprah had a show, well, she still has a show, but when Oprah had the Oprah show, I wanted to go to the Oprah show, right? And I remember kind of thinking like law of attraction. I'm going to keep focusing on the Oprah show. I talk to my girlfriend about it every day, blah, 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 blah. And I had no idea that there. So this is my third point. There's something I like to call an or better.
Yeah.
And or betters are way better than what you're intending. And I'm like, I don't, never mind the or better. I just want to get to the Oprah show. And no matter how hard I tried, it didn't work out. And you know what would happen? I would have, so for instance, one of my boyfriends at the time, he had been on Oprah. He didn't tell me that. And then he told me, and I thought, oh, that's nice. Great. You've been on Oprah and I can't even get a ticket to sit in the audience, and that being bratty to myself. Right. And then I had another girlfriend tell me that she had been to, oh, it's so easy for her to get tickets. And I'm like, racka, fracka, snacka. And then there was, there's just a bunch of stuff that happened that I just had to laugh. How many people around me, it was funny. Well, it wasn't until I'm not going to tell the full story of this. Actually, it's in the book, but I can tell you right now, the amount of or betters that happened as a result of that story was ridiculous. But let me tell you something else. So it's maybe 10 years later, because the Oprah show has been off the air for however many years. And I end up being on a team of people that get to work with Stedman Graham.
Mm-hmm.
And for months, by the way, for like 4 months straight, it was beautiful. It was, really uplifting. Stedman Graham's Oprah's boyfriend. I don't know if you call him that, but Oprah and Stedman, if you're listening, I apologize if I don't know the exact partner. So, sure. And so, I actually got to tell him the full story of getting the tickets and ending up wearing her clothes and all this kind of stuff. I did. I ended up wearing her shoes. I ended up wearing her outfit. We were both the same size and everything. And I thought, wow, this is quite a story. Nobody would ever believe it. And I told him, and he was so gracious, because I know people tell him stories about Oprah all the time. And they're also trying to get over to Oprah through him. And I said, I promise this is not trying to get to Oprah, but I have to tell you this story. It's insane. And he laughed. And I thought, wow, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how when we get out of the way, or better, like the universe loves us so much that I could never have intended that. Like, who knew? That's literally that guy probably had dinner with Oprah the night before and with me the day after. So manifestation, and we talked about this last time, Scott, it's never not happening. It's always happening.
And it's really only a process of your imagination or your ability to vision cast or future cast, or however you want to call it, I would believe.
You actually don't even have to envision it. I never envisioned it. the point I want to make here is that you don't even have to envision it. I didn't envision that. I never even thought about
Got it.
Stedman Graham,
Got it.
yet. And so what I'm saying is the universe doesn't want to deliver what your vision is. The universe wants to surprise and delight you with something that's even better than what
I
you
love that.
imagine. You get,
I,
and if you get out of the way, the title of the book is Unstuck, the Physics of Getting Out of Your Own Way. But it's actually the physics of getting out of the entire universe's way. Because when we do that, wouldn't it be amazing, Scott, if every day all we did was have the vision board, but understand that the bottom 2/3 of the vision board should just say or better, right?
yeah.
And then what happened is everything that happened to you, the what you envisioned was just basic. It was just foundational. The universe
Well,
takes that and ups it times 1,000.
I remember the last time when we were talking, you said, this is for all those type A, type double A's, the ones that you can make it happen. Not that I would know anybody like that.
No, me neither. I know nobody like that at all.
Don't know anybody like that.
Recovering.
But, spent an entire career of making things happen.
Yeah.
And you said, it was actually very encouraging on one side and food for thought on the other side when you say, with what you're doing with the new show and with everything that you're doing, lack of planning is probably your best friend, or not knowing where you're going exactly is probably going to serve you even better. And that was like okay, I'm going to have to think about that for a second. I accept it. I mean,
yes,
I'm all good with that. And that's why it kind of came to as talking about show names and different things, and really the desire to get the messaging out more than anything else.
Yeah. You keep going. It's that procession thing. You keep going with what is presenting.
Yeah.
Right. And what happens is stuff will show up. Listen, this even lines up with the laws of physics, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all made of atoms. And everything in this three-dimensional world is a solid, a gas, or a liquid. And those are all made of atoms. And there's charts with all the atomic, symbols and the specific frequencies and all the stuff that goes on a beautiful chemistry chart. And what's never talked about in chemistry in high school or even in university or college is the idea of, well, how did even the earth, how did even existence come about? I mean, now this is a deep philosophical conversation,
Right.
but whether you believe God or evolution or some combination of both, maybe God caused evolution, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. What really matters is that at some point we were just an idea. Human beings were just an idea. Every species was just an idea. A tree was just an idea. Having a planet with civilization was just an idea. And where do ideas exist? Well, they don't exist atomically. They exist subatomically. So imagine that in 3D, if there's two atoms, there's a space between the atom. In the space between the atom is where all ideas and creativity exist. So absolutely have a plan. Absolutely have a plan. What's that saying? God laughs when you say you have a plan.
Exactly.
But God doesn't really, well, maybe it does laugh, because that's where the creativity lies. If you're moving forward with a plan, the creativity lies because you've got some momentum. You're taking action. And so when there are two atoms, if you're imagining something, but it doesn't exist in reality, where does it come from? Well, that imagining and that willingness to believe it to be true opens the doorway for something subatomic, metaphysical, to actually be able to be created in the physical. Now, a book, a podcast, or, whatever, all of these things, everything that we can imagine was just an idea at some point. And ideas live in the metaphysical, and landing them in 3D, there's this beautiful process by which we actually create a thing in 3D. And so imagine that creation itself works that way. The space between the atoms needs to be available for us to be given to. So me saying that to you last time was really based on the idea that we have intentions, we have ideas. Consciousness, which is metaphysical, content multidimensional, is part of those ideas, is co-creating those ideas. And as a result, is also creating all the ways that you can get to those ideas, that you can make manifest those ideas, that you can actually put into form those ideas. And in order to get all the resources and the connections and the people to come into your life, and you've never done it before, it requires being given to by books, by consciousness, by creation itself. And you're never doing it alone. So that spaciousness is my word for this year. That spaciousness, that space between the atoms, is where the miraculous occurs. If you want to, type A's, like you said before, if you want to be a type A about it, you can actually completely live in the 3D world and work really, really hard and make a lot of stuff, but it won't be half as fun, half as meaningful, or half as easy if you don't leave spaciousness for all of the busy people out there that are working their butts off to try to get somewhere. It's like, you got to understand the purpose of life. It is to expand. Well, the purpose of life is to enjoy the expansiveness. Expansiveness is assumed. I'm going to say that again because it's really important. Expansiveness is not the purpose of life. It is a result of life.
Got it.
If you're listening, okay? If you're listening to life, it is the result of life. The purpose of life is to enjoy the creativity or co-creativity. And that is why expansiveness happens. If you're not enjoying it, you're going to work really hard. And there might be little teeny weeny increases in, but they won't be huge. It's in the enjoyment, it's in the passion that it actually causes a momentum where the enjoyment and the co-creativity just amplifies itself and it exponentiates. So,
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. I know it's hard to believe our time we've ripped through our time,
come on.
as always. I would encourage everybody to get unstuck. It's fabulous. Jennifer's fabulous. So much great wisdom and knowledge. Thank you for being here. Really, where do they get unstuck? What's the best way for everybody to get a hold of it?
Well, you can search Jennifer Hough and Unstuck on Amazon, of course, if you just want to go direct. But thewideawakening.com/unstuck is a better place to get it, because we have, first of all, I did a reading of chapter 1. And in the reading of chapter 1, it's so juicy. I added a whole bunch of author notes to chapter 1 that actually changed the entire way that you read the book. So you get that recording. And we did a release party where I did all sorts of stuff there too. And of course, there's some materials to back it up. So that's what's going on there. And awesome. So it's thewideawakening.com/unstuck. And that way you'll get all the powerful materials as well.
Sounds great. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for joining us on Champions of Inspiration. We'll see you again the next event. God bless.
Thanks, Scott.